Hello, my name is Emma. In this video, I'm going to show you how to process a sample for thermochronology. We start with a rock that is about this size that we collected in the field, and we crush it and separate it until we have individual apatite and zircon grains that are the size of the tip of your pen. The steps for this process include jaw crushing, using the disc mill, sieving, hand washing, defiling, and franzing. So let's get started. My first step in this process is to clean this entire room with a vacuum cleaner, a wire brush, and an air compressor. The reason for this is because I don't want any grains to contaminate my samples. And perhaps even more important than cleaning is PPE, personal protection equipment. I wear safety goggles to protect my eyes, a mask to protect my face from dust, and headphones to protect my ears. In addition, we have a dust collection system that sucks dust up in the back of this room to collect all those extra particulates. Now that my work area is clean and prepped, I will start the rock crushing process by running my rocks through the jaw crusher. The jaw crusher works by dropping a rock in the top, letting the jaws do their work, and we get crushed rocks out the bottom. Next, we move on to the disc mill. Let's get started. We'll pour the sample through. We don't want to pour too much in or else it'll seize, so we do a little at a time. And we'll check the bottom. Whew, quite a dusty process. Next, we'll take the sample over to the sieve, where we identify smaller than 500 micron grains. So the sample that does not fall through the sieve will go back through the disc mill. Here we can see the sample that has fallen through the sieve is less than 500 microns. We will place the sample in the bin for safe keeping. Next step, cleaning. Now that my sample is crushed and sieved, I begin cleaning this room for general cleanliness and to eliminate contamination of samples for the next person. This takes about 30 minutes. Here we go! In this step of the mineral separation process, I'm going to demonstrate how to hand wash samples. This is an alternative to using a Wilfley table, which I'm not using in this case because my sample is small and I don't want to lose any material. The goal with hand washing is to separate and remove any really tiny particles such as dust, so that when we move on to the hand magnet and fronds, we don't have dust flying around. First, I put the sample into the beaker. Then I add water to the beaker and stir. Then I let the beaker rest for 30 minutes, allowing the heaviest particles to sink to the bottom and the lightest particles to float to the top. So I can pour those off. I decant by pouring off the water and the tiniest particles off the top. Then I refill the beaker with water, stir it up, and allow the beaker to rest for 20 minutes. I'll repeat this process until I am down to 1 minute. After the 1 minute round and decanting all the water, I will put the sample on a paper towel to dry overnight. The next step is defiling with a hand magnet. First, we pour some sample onto a white piece of paper, spread the sample around, and collect the magnetic filings, and we drop them off in the mags container. After I have hand washed the sample to remove particulates and defiled, meaning using a magnet to remove little pieces of metal and the extremely magnetic material, we move on to the fronds. The fronds is a magnetic separator. We do not want magnetic materials for our final analysis, so we remove the magnetic materials so that our grains are easier to identify. The fronds works. The sample goes in the feed here, which is vibrating. Sample falls out the bottom, runs down the chute, which is also vibrating. This is the magnet, so each little grain that is magnetic is staying in the upper chute. The grains run downward in this chute until the magnetic grains are up there, non-magnetic grains are down here, until they reach the magnetic pot and non-magnetic pot. Now that we have separated our sample into non-mags and mags, we will send the non-mags off to be separated using heavy liquids. We don't have access to the heavy liquid separation here at Utah State, so we send them off. And finally, we will be able to pick the apatite and zircon grains via a microscope.